Things that Charlie Kirk said drastically offended me. I have yet to have actually one person ask me why.
Because no one cares? Hey guys, Brad here with another breaking video, another quick hit video, because we gotta talk about something that just aired on CNN that, gosh, the bar is low, but I was still genuinely shocked by this. Of course, today is Charlie Kirk's memorial. Rest in peace to Charlie Kirk, and my best wishes go out to his family and friends, because what happened to him is just so horrible. We've talked about it ad nauseum over the last couple weeks, but on CNN, one contributor, Ashley Allison, who is a Democratic operative, decided to make his memorial about her own feelings and the fact that she was offended by him or something. Honestly, I'm not even sure that I did how bad this clip is justice. I want you guys to take a look at this with me because it's quite something. This aired Saturday, the day before the memorial of the man who was just assassinated in an act of political terrorism. But the real issue, guys, is Ashley Allison's feelings. Don't forget it. Let's watch.
Things that Charlie Kirk said drastically offended me. I have yet to have actually one person ask me why.
Because no one cares? Because it's not important whether you liked everything he had to say or whether you didn't? Because that's not relevant on the eve of the memorial. This aired on Saturday, I believe. How you personally felt about every single thing Charlie Kirk ever said and whether you were offended by it doesn't matter. Why would anyone ask about your feel? But no one, I know everyone's mourning the man who was just assassinated in the worst act of political terrorism in recent memory, but what about my feelings? I can't believe she's serious. She's dead ass. She actually thinks that she's the main character, and the fact that, you know, out of a decade plus long broadcasting career, Charlie Kirk said a couple things that, I mean, he was an edgelord. He said edgy stuff. I don't think we need to pretend he was a total saint and never said anything wrong just because he was taken from us too soon and just because he has, in many ways, an honorable legacy. But like the fact that a couple of his edgiest statements offend you is just not important right now, Ashley. It's just not important. Guys, I would have crashed out. I've been on this show, and if I'd been there, I would have crashed out on live TV. So I'm kind of glad I wasn't. Also a little sad that I wasn't there because it would have been fun, would have been spicy. Let's keep going.
If they agreed with those things. And that's the fault in the moment that we're in right now. It is very clear that Charlie Kirk should not have been murdered. But why not have a conversation with me and say, why did that upset you? Mm-hmm. And take the moment to listen and not.
Oh my God. I mean, I got to give her credit. I mean, that she's been very clear she's against political violence. She doesn't support any of this. And that puts her in 1,000 degrees better light, in my view, than the woke crazies all over TikTok and the other platforms who are genuinely happy Charlie Kirk died. But she's like, and we can have a conversation now about why the things he said offended me. That's not him. I don't know how to explain to you that that's not important right now. And what's important is mourning him, condemning political violence, taking a stand against political terrorism, confronting the rise of the violent far left in this country, where you have pluralities or majorities of left of center respondents to polls saying they think assassinations of Trump or Elon Musk could be partially justified, where you have cults around people like Luigi Mangione, who are alleged murderers, who are alleged to have committed acts of terrorism, but have supporters flocking in the streets. That is important. Not whether what Charlie Kirk said on a podcast a few years ago about DEI offends you and why. I mean, at some point, sure, should we discuss the more complicated aspects of his legacy? Should we continue to debate these ideas, and should people's feelings and perspectives be listened to? Yeah, but I don't that's just not important at the moment. This is one of the worst cases of main character syndrome I've ever seen on cable news, I think. But let's keep going.
And not have a comeback. And then I should ask the question about, why did you really like the things that Charlie Kirk said? That is actually how you move forward. But I don't think that there's a desire to have that conversation. And you know why? these things. Social media, it gives you a ability to stand behind a tag that you never have to come up and face somebody face to face. It doesn't allow us. We've never really come back from the pandemic being so isolated from one another. If we actually can't figure that out, we could lose the right to free speech because we don't even know how to use speech properly sometimes.
So a lot to unpack there. Like, I'm glad she's promoting civil discourse. I'm glad she's promoting dialogue, but this still doesn't make sense to me. The reason people aren't asking about why you're offended is not because of social media. It's not because of the pandemic. It's because they don't care. Like, there's a saying, just because you're offended doesn't mean you're right. And I unequivocally believe that. But also, just because you're offended doesn't mean that that's important. Like, obviously people's feelings matter, but I'm much more concerned right now with the feelings of Charlie Kirk's family, his friends, the feelings of Americans who worry that our nation is on the brink of political violence. Like, I'm just not pressed about whether his statements in the past currently hurt some people's feelings. Like, it doesn't matter. It's not the point is not to litigate whether he was right about everything, whether he ever said an uncouth thing in his life. Sure, he did. Anybody in our business does. And that's just like not at all relevant to this attack on free speech, attack on our democracy, and attack on American values and our American way of life, because this is so anathema to who we are. And the fact that you have some unknown portion of the public genuinely celebrating this act of terrorism. I mean, I interviewed a demon on my channel. I interviewed a trans activist who publicly celebrated and mocked Charlie Kirk's death. And we need to grapple with that we're pulling apart as a country, and we're losing sight of our basic values where we hash things out with words, not litigate whether everything Charlie Kirk ever said was offensive. It literally doesn't matter. And I'll be honest, if a left-wing person had been killed, I wouldn't be particularly interested in litigating all their worst takes either. Like, I am certainly not co-signing everything Charlie Kirk ever said. If you go back, I actually criticized him many times on this channel, but it's like, that is just not important right now. And I really don't understand how to make Ashley see that. And listen, I have nothing against her. I appreciate anybody who's willing to go in and have debates and have heated conversations in this panel style format, but she has said some odd things over her time on CNN. And I want to play you guys a flashback clip to something else she said that I found hilarious at the time and find hilarious today.
I do not have the same opportunity as you. I know I don't.
And you know
and
that
I know
too.
what's going.
And you know that.
Let me just tell you about me.
I'm gonna let you finish, but I want to answer this.
I'm not talking about how you feel. I'm talking about how I feel. Me, a black woman in this country.
But not in this city.
And I will run. And if you want
I'm a New Yorker, not in this city. You cannot say that. You can't say that in this city. I'm
not talking about New York. I'm talking about Ashley Allison right here. I got a law degree, a master's, and 2 bachelors. Probably more education than all of y'all added up together at this table, right? And I have always been the least paid person on payroll at every institution I have worked in. And it's not because...
Even in the White House?
Even in the White House.
Well, whose fault is that? I don't think you worked for George W. or Trump.
Well, guess wasn't what happened when I was there. DEI. Scott.
Look.
I still just love that clip because, like, she really thought she ate. She really thought she cooked, but she only cooked herself, or at least her own party, because she's suggesting that, I believe it was the Obama White House that she worked in. If not, it would have been the Biden White House. I'll have to double check that. But whatever Democratic administration she worked in, she was paid less because of her skin color and race, despite being overqualified. So you're saying your own party engaged in illegal, racist, and sexist discrimination against you? Okay, I mean, that's bad. You should probably have sued them for that, if that's true. I mean, and the alternative here is that, like, I'm sorry, in the age of affirmative action and DEI, if you are the most qualified person in the world and a black woman, and yet are still finding yourself at the bottom of every pecking order, something about that doesn't add up. There has to be a you problem there, because if anything, it should be easier than ever to get ahead. If you are supremely qualified, top-notch talent, and check DEI boxes. Like, something here doesn't add up, but she really thought she did her big one. So that's my favorite Ashley Allison moment from CNN. But on a more serious note, guys, like, I just thought this clip kind of perfectly encapsulated the original clip, not the second one. Everything that's wrong with mainstream media, where these pundits really think they're the main character. And listen, I think I'm the main character in my own life and even in my political commentary in a lot of ways. But I do not, in fact, think that the murder of Charlie Kirk is about me or my feelings. So at least I can say that much. All right. Now, you guys let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure subscribed if you aren't yet. Hit the like button, yada, yada, yada. And check out the links in the description to subscribe to my long-form podcast, Brad vs. Everyone, where I cover political news, media insanity, and internet craziness, all from an independent perspective. The links to all of that are in the description. And with that, guys, we'll talk again real soon.